Earned media is, it's a lot more impactful and influential than what you pay for, because, people can spot an ad a mile away.
Yeah.
And, it's less trustworthy because it's like just you're kind of tooting your own horn. Whereas when you've got someone else who is, kind of positioning you as an expert and talking to you and promoting your work, it's kind of like a third-party endorsement. Yep. And so traditionally in PR, that's been done through the media and through being featured in media and interviews and things like that. Obviously, like, media is becoming less and less, like journalists are more and more stretched. In a way that is still in, like, particularly in professional services industries, that's still having a really positive impact for PRs, because we can kind of just write the stuff for the journalists and give it to them and then they just run it. Really
That's PR's dirty little secret.
I'm airing our dirty laundry.
Some journalists
leave that entire thing out.
I guess.
But, like, it still needs to be newsworthy content. Like, it still needs to be well thought out, well written and positioned.
And the smaller the public, we'll say the smaller the publication, where they're running off the smell of an oily rag, they probably more default to that than the bigger ones where the journo will never do that. So.
Yeah, and I mean, more and more, even that's becoming paid, particularly with trade media. They're like, you can have a partnership with us, and then you can submit the news quality stuff that we run. So it's kind of almost like, But look, aside from that, earned media is still, it's all about third-party endorsement. We kind of touched on this earlier when we were talking about word of mouth, and word of mouth is still the most powerful. Like, think about it. If you're, even if you're looking for like a physio in your local area, you're going to ask your friends, you're like, who's a good physio in this area, or you're going to Google it and look at the reviews.
Now.
Yeah, you're going to chat GPT it, right? You're going to go like, who's, but you're going to look for, you're not just going to kind of, you're going to do your homework and you're going to trust word of mouth from a friend. And like, if a good friend that you trust says something to you like, oh, this person was really good to work with, I recommend you work with them, you're going to go, cool, done. Yeah. And I think this is the power of earned kind of PR, marketing, media, everything. It's like that third-party endorsement. So any way that you can do that. And look, some of the best ways are really appearing on other people's podcasts, like what we're doing today. Yes. It's like, being a guest presenter in someone else's group online course. It is pitching yourself to me. It's pitching yourself as a speaker on a panel, so all of these kinds of things are ways that you can get in front of other people's audiences, like you mentioned before, but then really get that kind of third party endorsement as a testimonial to who you are and like positioning you as, that person that you want to be positioned as in your field, whether that's the thought leader, the expert, whatever.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to note, and I was only having a conversation with someone the other day who's more operating at the top end of town in terms of enterprise PR and comms, but he was just bemoaning from one client who all they ever wanted was the top financial newspapers and nothing else mattered, and they still measured everything by column inches, so that's sort of 20 to 30 years thinking old, but be that as may, it's not about, I call that Broadway, the tier one media and even LinkedIn and going viral on LinkedIn with the big audiences and it's crowded. That's Broadway. And I wrote a piece recently about the power of off Broadway, which is the smaller rooms that reach more niche audiences. So that might be a smaller industry newsletter or publication. It might be a podcast with a smaller audience, not Joe Rogan, for example. Joe Rogan's, you're never going to get on Joe Rogan, is Broadway. Some of the podcasts done by traditional media and the big tier one media, that's Broadway. Off Broadway are the smaller audiences, and then we have off Broadway, which might be you talk at someone's small online community or their mastermind, or tiny audiences as well. So I like that thinking, is that you start small, you build up, and then maybe one day you do get to the bigger thing. But it's the body of work and the commitment to seeing the opportunities to put yourself in front of other people's audiences and do it in a really, again, genuine value-added way. You know, if you build your brand strong enough, people will come to you. So there is an inbound aspect to it. And, you know, say yes and get involved. But then there's the pushing out as well. So it is an inbound, outbound. Andreas, you've been, you know, you speak, you get out there and speak on stages. The stage is the media, and you've earned the right to be on that stage. So you do a lot of that at conferences, but you also appear on podcasts, etc. So that's probably inbound earned media for you. How do you see earned media working today, and do you do much of it with your clients or factor it into your strategic comms?
Look, I agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's the best summation of the way to think about earned media these days. You know, particularly appearing in other people's communities and spaces that are curated already, because I think that drives a tremendous level of impact. And, you know, conferences are the original kind of, you know, closed, you know, WhatsApp chat or the exclusive Slack channel that you see now. You know, a lot of brands and individuals kind of, you know, spruiking. And being invited to come in and be like, hey, have a look at this guy or have a look at this girl and see what they have to say. I think they're really great. I think has tremendous power. And that's really where I would focus on for anyone who's sort of looking to kind of, you know, exploit earned media, the off-Broadway and the off-Broadway, I think is probably going to deliver the most impact, right? Because there's a difference between reach and kind of, you know, like affinity, if you like, you know, and you might need reach if you're a political candidate trying to win office. 100% you have to go Broadway, you know, or you might need reach if you're like, you know, a celebrity launching a new line of course things. I don't know, whatever celebrities launch a line of anything.
But there is room for the mainstream media. Otherwise, there is no mainstream media. But
correct.
You know,
but however,
always the need. You put the effort in to get it, and it might not be much at all.
Exactly. And you get reach, but you don't get that sort of deeper
resonance.
Kind of engagement.
You don't get resonance.
Yeah, exactly. I think the one thing I would say about earned media is that you cannot rely on it to create awareness, right? Because you're earning, as this podcast is called, you're earning the right to be in that space.
Yeah.
You can't predict it. You can't say, I'm going, you know, gone are the days where you would hire a quote unquote PR consultant or PR agency to get you 12 appearances in the media a month. Gone are the days.
Yeah, no.
Those days that haven't been around for 15 years, you know? So you cannot predict it. And so you need to really be clear about that is an accelerator. It's a bonus. It can't be the fundamental of your you know, branding, communications, marketing strategy.